Alrighty, how y'all doing today? I'm Austin. I am the blue guy. So I'm in Texas. I just stopped in Amarillo and got Buc-ee's as I showed everybody. I think the only thing people are watching right now are my shorts, so it's like, whatever. Maybe eventually someone will watch the actual videos, but the longer ones. No big deal either way. I used to live in Texas. Not the biggest fan of this state. A lot to do with the governor. You know, kind of a questionable guy. But the good thing is I don't live here anymore. But I've got friends and family who are in this state, and so I don't want to disrespect Texas. Texas is a big state, and there's a lot of awesome people who live here. But at the same time, it's a flawed state. I mean, every state is flawed, don't get me wrong. But Texas, yeah. But I don't know if I wouldn't say I'm quite halfway there yet, but I'm almost halfway there. I'm late to the game, unfortunately. My plan was to be in DC today, this morning, but you know, I had to pack up the car, had to get some money together, had to get my car inspected, had to all that stuff, and also have to sleep. So I think grand total I've slept 5 to 6 hours on the trip so far. I did like 2 naps, parked at a rest stop, and tried to figure out how to sleep in here first time since I got the setup. And then a couple hours later, I was starting to get tired again, so I was like, I'll pull over, stop at another little truck stop, little middle of nowhere truck stop, and take another nap. That one was a bit easier because I shuffled some stuff in my car around, so there's a bit more space for me to sleep. But I think now that I've got it where it is now, I should be able to just throw a backpack that's back there in the seat here and curl up and sleep back there. It should be way more comfortable now. We'll see. But I can't afford a van life right now. Like, can't afford to go full van life. That's my goal. So right now, car life I have to do, I guess. Yeah. The good thing is that I'm a pretty frugal person, pretty low financial needs kind of guy. I don't really need much money. I really don't care for money that much. I tell people if I could live where my finances are always like bouncing off E, but I'm able to support my life and my friends and family, that's awesome. Like, I don't care. As long as my life is happy, as long as my friends and family have happy lives, I don't need money. Like, very little at least. Honestly, if I could ever get to a point where I'm like making significant money, like more than my people need, then my goal is to have basically all of that go to good causes, like investing in charities, donating to charities, investing in new programs, like maybe helping to put money into schools and stuff like that, like doing real important stuff. That's what I want money to do. I don't care about money for myself. The most expensive thing I might want is like an Airstream or like an RV or maybe honestly like a van, but something that is honestly pretty small that I can live out of and just travel. I don't even mean like expensive travel, just like doing what I'm doing now, drive, visit towns, like stop at all the landmarks, do the whole thing, right? Like see spiritual locations, visit different cultures. I have never been to different temples and like that, so I would love to travel the country and meet people in their places of worship and like learn from them and learn to how that affects me and what that means to me. Really really delve into people's lives and kind of get to know people on an individual level. Like I was saying yesterday, we're all like we like to group ourselves, and there are that stuff matters to some degree as well, but we're all so different and so unique that I don't know if anybody who's watching this or will watch this have ever read the books, any books by Brandon Sanderson, one of my favorite authors. Writing a book is an art, but one of my favorite authors. There's a series that I think he might have just released it. I don't know. He just released a book for the Way of Kings series, and I haven't gotten to read that yet. But I was like a pretty good way through the series. I had to take a break, and I haven't been reading like physical books in a while, but I love reading. But in that series, they have instead of people being separated by skin tone, they have people separated by eye color, which is, I think is a funny way to do it, because like it's just as irrelevant to day to day. And honestly, what's funny about that is that in that series, the reason they do that is based on something that they like a historical, like a ancestral trait. And honestly, they didn't realize that was the thing that anybody could achieve if they had the right like skill set and temperament. And so there people with lighter eyes are really just the ancestors of people who were fortunate enough to earn a specific ability. And so going forward, after that generation with people with abilities, the color of your eyes was functionally irrelevant, but they still held on to that for some reason. It's a ancestral baggage that they held on to, despite the fact that it was irrelevant at that point. And that's how I feel about like how people are treated nowadays. Like, if you're not hurting anybody, then I'm gonna mind my business, right? It's not my business what you do with your life, unless you want to include me in that. If you want to tell me about it, or if it's a public thing or whatever, you share it on social media, great. I would love to share in your success and more in your losses with you. But with everything else, most other things in life aren't my business. I kind of just generally don't care. In the sense that I want the world to be safe. I want this world to be a safe place for my nephews and their generation to live and thrive and flourish. But in this world, there are huge pockets of reality where that's true. But there are these like right now, there's so many parts of the world that are just not ideal, mostly because of wars and people who are in charge doing unnecessary, mean and cruel things. Like, people are being treated terribly, and there's no reason for that. Civilians and people who haven't done anything wrong, like, nobody in that group of people who have done nothing wrong should be negatively impacted. Like, it's silly to me that the people of Gaza are being treated the way they're being treated, and the people of Ukraine are being treated the way they're being treated. It's silly because really I will not claim to be a scholar when it comes to these things. I'm not a historical scholar. I like to read and be current on current events, so I'm pretty caught up in what's going on in the day-to-day. I was in the Air Force for 4 years active duty, 6 years or so in the Guard, and my jobs were related to doing research and gathering information. So I'm a pretty deft hand at that, but at the same time, it's like, I've not been there. I can't speak for that. All I know is that the people of Gaza are being treated terribly. That's it. That's an easy thing to say. It's just not cool, right? Same with Ukraine. Like, they were invaded, right? And people are acting like they should just roll over and give up. It's like, if anybody invaded America, like truly with boots on the ground troops, not like as so-and-so is claiming now, invasion. No, I'm talking about a legitimate invasion, like how the people in Ukraine are being treated. There are literal soldiers in land that is supposed to be controlled by Ukraine. That's insane. Like, it would be a whole different ballgame if, like, Ukraine had started something by, doing some kind of act of violence or terrorism, whatever. They didn't. They just wouldn't. They just, like, it's insane. Like, why are they being invaded? Because Russia doesn't want them to join NATO, and because they want that chunk of land that used to be of theirs back. It's not yours. It's like, it's just crazy to me. But the fact is that those are just two places in the world, Gaza and Ukraine, that are just crazy right now. And here in the States too, we're basically not the ones. We're being affected by what we're doing to others. The country is hurting other people, and because of that, we are being hurt. And I'm not saying the citizens are doing anything wrong. I'm saying the people who are in charge are doing these things. Like cutting off USAID, like that is a bad thing. Like, diplomacy, even if you look at USAID as just a diplomatic tool, like a political piece to use for diplomacy, just temporarily halting that or just temporarily taking that off the table is not good. But the thing is, it's not just that. Yes, for government people and like the people who move the chess pieces, it's that it's a diplomatic piece. But in reality, it is genuinely helping people. I keep hearing people say this thing is the most corrupt thing in the world, that thing is the most corrupt thing in the world. It's like, show us the corruption. Like, don't just say that's corrupt. Say it's corrupt and here's evidence, and then quote some numbers like they've been doing, and then realize 2 days later that they've tripled the numbers that they got wrong. Like, not only did they triple the wrong number, but the number that they gave that was tripled was higher than it should be anyway. So it's like it's like the numbers don't make sense. It just doesn't. Why are we dismantling things that are used to genuinely help parts of the world? And I know people are like, oh, well, they're using that for like certain research projects to, what was it? One was claiming that they're turning some creatures trans using the USAID money. We don't know what that research project was about. They might have been using chemicals but certain creatures are able to switch their gender around. So maybe they were just trying to see if they could induce that behavior and how that would affect the creature down the road. It's research into a medically significant aspect of life. So and also we don't know what the results they were trying to replicate or what they were trying to find in that research. We just hear the blurb of they're trying to do this, and it's like, okay, yeah, but we don't know any of the details. Why are you getting upset about something that you don't know anything about? It's like with the whole the Haitian people in was it Missouri or they're being accused of eating cats and dogs. It's like, are you kidding me? Why would they eat the pets? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, even if culturally I'm not saying this is true. If hypothetically the culture found it normal in their day-to-day to eat specific animals that other cultures find inappropriate to eat, one, it's not our business. If that group of people was literally raising certain animals to be eaten, like we do cows or chickens, like, I love dogs, I love cats, but like we don't get pissed when we, like, I know certain groups get pissed when people like see how cows and chickens are treated, but the most people are like kind of a blind eye to it. But as soon as it could be a cat, as soon as it could be a dog, it's like end of the world. But that's not even the point here. They weren't eating cats and dogs. That one like really big headline photo of that man walking down the street with that goose, with that duck or whatever, that was debunked. He was picking up roadkill off the street. We don't know if that was because of personal reasons, if that's his neighborhood, or if he was doing part of his job. We don't know any of that. He could be literally, that could be his job to do that. He could be on a road cleaning crew, or he could straight up just be trying to be a good neighbor and clear a roadkill off the street so it doesn't rot and create disease. We don't know. And so it's crazy. People will see something they have no context for and then snap decision that person's a bad guy or that person's doing something weird. It's like, why would you believe that? If you would hear the situation and let's say you replace the subject of the story with your mom or your brother or your dad or anybody you genuinely know, wouldn't you question that? Also, I'm crossing in Oklahoma, so that's cool. I just left Texas. It's been a long time since I've been to Oklahoma. Kind of random, but yeah. So if a thing happens on the news, why do people not think, is that true? Because if you heard that your significant other or your family member was eating cats and dogs, you're like, why? Right? You would, or are you probably start with, are you sure? Or are they okay? Or why? Right? You wouldn't be like, you wouldn't jump to, they're terrible. Like, believe that. It's innocent until proven guilty, not immediately persecute, right? So, one, we don't know, like, if, like, before the stories came out, and people were starting to share it on Facebook and stuff like that, it's like, why would you share something about somebody you don't know and not have done any fact-checking? It makes zero sense. And then people will spout this stuff on the news, and people are pretty well conditioned at this point to see the news as being fact. It's not the truth, just like how the internet isn't fact. But because it comes from somebody whose voice they recognize, or whose face they've seen on TV before, or who's wearing a certain suit or a certain outfit, you're like, I believe them. It's like, why? You wouldn't believe a loud person on the corner of a street saying that the person you're walking with ate a dog, or the person across the street ate a cat, yet when it comes from somebody on a camera, you believe it? Makes no sense. But again, I want to rant. My whole point is that this world is awesome. Like, I'm driving through Oklahoma. I haven't been to Oklahoma in probably over a decade, and it's a very different vibe. Like, as far as like Amarillo through Oklahoma here, like very flat, very, very big plains and trees and stuff like that. I was living in Vegas for the last 3 years, so I'm used to deserts and scrub brush and casinos. Like, I'm not used to, like, it's been a while since I've seen fields, and it's really nice to see something different. Like, it's great. And yet I just drove through Texas after leaving Nevada, where they're like, I wear my like beads and stuff like that because I like wearing them. It feels like me to wear them. I wear my like pride bracelet, all this stuff I have like rainbow stuff in my car. I'm very like open about who I am and the things I value and believe in. And I didn't feel as comfortable doing that in Texas as I did in Nevada. And it's because Texas and Texans have gotten a reputation because of some of the stuff that's happened on the news, that you can't be as open about yourself in Texas, especially like with Roe versus Wade being overturned, with all this stuff, like with the fact that they're trying to, they're taking away trans rights of being in the military. Like I was active duty and in the National Guard, in the Air Force. I was in the Texas Air National Guard. So I was stationed and working in Texas. And I can't abide by that. Like, I was offended when I was younger, and I knew that Don't Ask, Don't Tell had just been, it was like, I can't remember the year, but it had just been like repealed or like backpedaled. And it's just like, we only just did that? We only just figured that out. Are you kidding me? Why does somebody else's life matter to you if it doesn't impact you? Like, why? And also, it's just frustrating because like there's so many people in this world who are just living their lives, trying to be happy and thrive and survive, and then they get treated like something other than human, when all they've done is live as them. Instead of hide themselves or be ashamed of themselves or let fear control them, they said, no, I'm me, and then they get persecuted for it. And it's like, they're not going to stop being them. They just might stop sharing themselves. Like, it's so frustrating to see people who I love. Like, I have family and friends and like people. Some of my favorite people are from all walks of life, and it really just is frustrating to see how places like Texas and certain states have, and certain countries in the world, and how people just around the world, people are being treated because something that's not anybody's business. Like, nobody who is gay or trans or LGBT in general, nobody's in that group is forcing you to do anything. Like, them doing their thing and living their life how they feel is them doesn't impact anybody else, and yet people get so offended by it. It's like, your kid's not going to, if your kid is straight, they're not gonna suddenly turn gay. That's not how that works. If they're bi and they were uncovering that about themselves, maybe they didn't recognize it in themselves, then maybe they might try some stuff out. Who knows? But regardless, it's not anybody's business. As long as everybody involved is consenting, which meaning adults and coherent and cognizant of the situation and everything involved, as long as they're consenting and in my mind enthusiastically consenting, who cares? Like, that is, it's silly. But I just want to get on here and say that, just like, this world is amazing. I've been pretty fortunate. I've been able to see big chunks of it. I've been able to travel the world a little bit. Not to a lot of places. I've been to Japan, been to Mexico, been to the Bahamas, been to Jamaica, been to, I briefly visited, where was we basically, I've lived in Japan and other places I've traveled to. I would love to like spend good chunks of time all over the world. I haven't had the chance yet, but that's what I'm hoping to do in the future. And it's awesome how awesome people are. This world is. It's amazing how people can just thrive and learn to be the best version of themselves, and it doesn't really like people have come from crazy circumstances, good and bad, and like they've just made themselves the best version of themselves, and people are awesome. Like, seeing people who make art, or people who, like, if you look at a building that was like in the Taipei 101, at one point one of the tallest buildings in the world, or like the Burj Khalifa, those are built by people. That's insane. Like, think about what it means to be a person who worked on the top floor of building the Burj Khalifa. Imagine being one of those people who is at the top of the world, and you're making the top of the world possible. Like, you aren't there for fun. You're there because your job is to build that building. And so you're putting your life on the line, you're putting your time and heart and soul into a thing, and you make something amazing. Like, it's so cool. And so it's like, that is what we should focus on as a society, is those moments. Or these places, the places that we're in are amazing. Like, some people might find Oklahoma, I don't want to say, I like this, it's flat, it's got trees. Some people might find that mundane or boring. It's like, no, it's beautiful. This whole world is beautiful. And if we embrace that and support that, then the world would just be more beautiful. I don't know, I keep going off on tangents. This is just, you'll get used to it at this point, hopefully. You'll get used to it at some point, hopefully. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm really enjoying this trip. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, is just get out on the road and stop being so sedentary. And so this has been a real endeavor for me. Like, this has taken some real effort, and it's not been fun the trip itself hasn't been fun the whole way, and the prep for the trip hasn't been fun the whole way, and everything before that. This whole thing has been kind of a whirlwind and kind of stressful and kind of exciting at the same time, but I love it. This is what I've been wanting to do. This is who I am. And the thing is that who I am, the way I experience the world, is that I love everything. And I want people to see that I love everything but evil, basically. Anything that's not evil, I love. Yeah. Be nice to people, be kind, be fun, have fun, enjoy your life, be solo, be in groups, whatever makes you happy. That is beautiful. I love that. As long as you're not hurting anybody or doing anything evil, like, go for it, right? And I hate that people are getting persecuted and being accused of being all these terrible, being demonized or whatever, because they come from a different plot of land. Like, their feet, when they were born, the first place their feet touched the ground in was different than where we are. And so it's like, oh, it's worse. It's like, no, it's just different. The plot of land you stand on when you're first born, or like when you first walk, shouldn't, like, it's important as a person. That's part of your roots. So respect it, honor it, do what you can, right? But at the same time, it's not who you are. You are not where you're born. You are not this. Like, you're not the country of origin. You're not the language you speak. You're not the way you dress. You're not the eye color you have. None of that stuff. You are the person inside that. You are the person that is the core of that. And honestly, despite all those things, you are that person. And that is the person I love. Like, I love those things. Like, I love all people's facets and aspects of themselves. All that stuff is beautiful, but it's only my business if you make it my business. That other stuff shouldn't matter unless you make it matter to me, which is cool, right? If you're excited, if you're like, let's say for Black History Month, let's say I always celebrate Pride Month. I always celebrate Black History Month. I always celebrate the different holidays by, like, or the different, like, time periods with the people it's relevant to, because, like, it's not my month, it's not my day, it's not my week, whatever, but it's they're people I love, and so I want to support them. It's like I said, I want to celebrate people's successes and mourn people's losses. I'm not going to get upset because you succeed where I didn't, and I'm not going to gloat because you failed where I didn't, right? I want to see people thrive, and I want to see people be the best they can be. And what I think is important for that is discussion. Is being able to communicate past those barriers, past those barriers. They're not actually barriers. They're just facets. They're just aspects of a person that can make them see a situation differently than you. Perspective is interesting, but at the same time, humans are humans. People on this planet are we do a lot of the same things. I would hazard to say that pretty much everybody in this world has woken up at some point and stubbed their toe and been inconvenienced by that in the middle of the night when they were why of all times now am I dealing with this? I just trying to go back to sleep, and I can't now because my freaking foot is killing me because I just kicked the wall as I was passing a corner. Or you've, I don't know, said hello to somebody who is trying to say goodbye. Those embarrassing moments. Everybody's had those when you're going to say bye to somebody and they're walking the same direction. Everybody's done that before. Or when you've held the door for somebody and realized they're not actually going towards the door you're going, and so you feel that moment of embarrassment. It's everybody has done stuff like that. And so those are the commonalities. Those are the true human experiences. What you wear in your day-to-day, and how you do your hair, and the tone of your skin should only matter in the sense that you care about them. And if you want to discuss that, if that's part of your culture, whatever, that's awesome. I love that. We'll talk about it. But in politics, in how we run a country and how we treat other people, those things shouldn't matter. Yeah. But it says I'm in Texas, making some good progress. Not Texas, Oklahoma, making some good progress. I'm going to probably cut this video short in a couple of seconds just to keep myself ranting and raving again, going off on tangents, being a little bit more coherent. I really hope this audio and the videos are decent quality. I'm sure I'm making mistakes. I keep changing aspect ratios and changing angles and twisting my phone around and trying to see what works best, because what I'm trying to do is be safe about this. I found that yesterday when I did the dash cam kind of view, it was a bit too distracting. So I don't want to do that anymore. This is I don't feel distracted by this. This is like having a mirror. I can just look at it. Okay, cool. I don't, the angle's right, good to go. But also it gives me a point of reference for where to look if I'm glancing, how you would in person with a car. You look over to talk sometimes. But I can focus on the road and not feel like I'm being distracted. I can just talk out loud. So this feels like the most comfortable, safe way to handle this. Yeah. Let me know if anybody's watching this, if you like this, if you want me to change anything, or if you're this could be better. Let me know. I'll work on it as I go. Thank you for your time. I'm Austin. I am the Blue Guy. I don't know if I should say that at the beginning and end or how I should do that, but yeah, have a great day.